yet she has been successful in keeping the multi-productive farm running. I believe the older generation has missed the opportunity to make meaningful changes in their mindset on how they view women, Nono says. The power bestowed on women should be harnessed and developed at an early age together with men side by side. Only then will men be able to appreciate the full extent of the benefits of having women as a partner and not as the competition. Emerging economies seem more able to embrace bold, progressive policies to integrate women into leadership roles than their counterparts in the developed world, and this is well documented. The ACDP notes with great respect that South Africa has been recognized by the AU as the best country in Africa in advancing women's economic rights. Well done, South Africa, and well done all who have purposed to make this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Duckley. Honourable Engelbrecht. Honourable House Chair, members, and especially the women in our gallery. Watinda Bafasi. You strike a woman, you strike a rock. In 1956, more than 20,000 women marched, led by 4 courageous women, Helen Joseph, Ramina Fumuza, Sophia Williams de Bruyn, and Lillian Nagoy, to deliver a memorandum demanding that the past law be scrapped. While we acknowledge with great pride the strides made in the past 22 years towards women's empowerment and gender equality, have we really moved forward? Ensuring women's full participation in the economy will be essential to reduce the triple challenge of high unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Currently, South Africans' women's ability to participate in the economy on their own terms are constrained, with limited options and limited opportunities to reach their full and your full potential. Have we moved forward fast enough in terms of education? When education still remains the key to a woman's full engagement in the economy and is therefore central to the achievement of gender equality. In the President's 2011 State of the Nation address, he stated, and I quote, "Given our emphasis on women's health, we will broaden the scope of reproductive health rights and provide services related to sanitary towels for the indigent. We are still waiting for our daughters who are losing essential school days because they have been forced to choose between their right to basic education and their right to dignity. The knowledge and skills gained through education opens up labour market options that were previously inaccessible and ensures that women are empowered to make good decisions for themselves and their dependents. Women must therefore be supported and encouraged to increase their knowledge and skill at all costs. Have we moved forward enough when women still experience discrimination in terms of employment practices and wage determinations? According to the 2016 Employment Equity Report, the percentage of women in top management positions in South Africa increased with only 0.5%, with a continued gender pay gap of 35%. This means that on average, men take home the full value of a woman's annual pay after just 8 months. This is unacceptable. Instead of giving us a ceremonial day of acknowledgement, ANC, rather give us fair and equal pay. Have we moved forward enough in giving women increased access to credit, land, and property, where increasing access to finances is a critical mechanism for lowering persistent income inequality as well as generating economic growth. Without inclusive financial systems, poor communities rely on limited savings and remain on the periphery of financial freedom, limiting their potential to develop promising growth opportunities. A full audit of land ownership in South Africa and the awarding of title deeds to the respective beneficiaries must be prioritized. Our Constitution makes provision for the protection of women, but South African women still live in fear. A recent study by the international humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders found that 1 in 4 women in Rustenburg have experienced sexual or intimate partner violence in their lives. The report held that about 50,000 women in Rustenburg may be rape survivors. Further, it was previously reported that for every 25 males who are brought to trial for rape, 24 walk free. How do we justify this when this is due to poor investigation and police detective services? This month we are united in celebrating South Africa's Golden Girl victory at the Rio Olympics. We know Caster Semenya is a woman because society wanted to regulate her body and decide on her behalf what she may or may not do, who she may or may not be. She, like any other woman, needs our unconditional support, and in spite of circumstances beyond her control, she dared to succeed, and succeed she did. Have we moved forward in respecting women as equals, neither marginalized, demeaned, abused, or violated in any way? This is very relevant when 4 brave young women, united in a silent protest to mark 10 years since our president was acquitted on a charge of rape, were pushed and shoved out of the IEC hall. We live in a country where there is no consequence for a Gupta plan landing at Waterkloof Airport. But these brave women were regarded as a security breach. Without blinking an eye, these women were violently removed from the event by the presidential security and manhandled to such an extent that they cried. And yet the female ministers did absolutely nothing to protect them from their aggressive removal, only concerned about the supposed security breach. Have we moved forward when the president of the ANC Women's League is more concerned about the protection of number 1 than the message against gender violence that these women were trying to convey? Honourable Speaker, women's issues are men's issues. Young boys who will grow into men need to be taught about respect, and that man who does not resemble bullying violence. These are issues men need to deal with. However, there is hope when men like the previous Minister Casrils are prepared to litigate and receive a payment of 500,000 put in a trust for Kwezi to further her education. I challenge each member today, policy makers, employers, decision makers, every man and child, to ensure that every woman they know is respected and valued, and to fight for a more equal society where women have the freedom to make their own choices and where women have access to opportunities that are easily and readily available. The time has arrived for a society safe for all.
I'm afraid your time has expired.
Thank you.
Honorable Jaisa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. The 9th of August is the day that should always be celebrated. We salute the women of 1956 The role they played, the contribution they made to the struggle for freedom in this country cannot be forgotten. They were very much determined and courageous enough to bring down the apartheid regime. It was because of their anger and determination when they marched to Pretoria that the then Prime Minister had to run away and hid himself from those women. Women should be recognized and be given the space to play their roles. They are ready to lead, to be managers in majority, to be CEOs in majority, even to occupy the position of being the president of this country. Whatever a man can do, a woman can. It is also a result of the contribution made by these women in 1956 that on the 3rd of August 2016, many South Africans went to the polls to vote for those they think are eligible to govern their communities. While acknowledging and celebrating the great strides that have been made since 1994 to improve the status of women, we also needed to highlight some challenges that, however, women still face in South Africa and in the continent as a whole. Women continue to be on the receiving side of violence, particularly rape. It is the responsibility of women and all of us together to stand up and fight violence against women. Like the women who fought against past laws in 1956, women's rights to protest must not be suppressed by our government, but it should be protected. They should be protected. It is very much pathetic to learn about the manner in which the 4 women who protested silently during the president's address on the 6th of August, this very month of theirs, were handled. They were violently removed from the venue during this very month of theirs, the August. They were manhandled. And what for? For being brave, for being able to stand up for women who suffer from sexual violations every day but are afraid to come forward with their grievances. Out of the unemployed citizens of this country, the high percentage is that of women and the youth. Therefore, the struggle for gender equality and empowerment of women should not just be an August topic, but must continue beyond that. Again, Honorable Chairperson, women have remained at a much higher risk of HIV infection than men. Gender inequality and intimate partner violence contribute more than to prevent many women, more especially now young women in particular, from protecting themselves against HIV and women. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Masango.
Honorable House Chair, this debate takes place at a time when public representatives across the political spectrum have been crisscrossing communities, urban, peri-urban, and rural, to create awareness about our manifestos. Our travels exposed us to the well-known but less acknowledged fact: women are the worst affected by the challenges facing society. They bear the brunt of acute poverty, food insecurity, and social vulnerability. Our travel also confirmed that what we as the Democratic Alliance have been calling for, the crucial need to increase social grants to secure basic food items for vulnerable members of society, children living with disabilities, and the elderly. It is a known fact that due to the recent drought and the dire economy, families that depend on grants have struggled to provide even basic food items for their families. A report released recently by an organization called One congratulates the South African government for having produced a number of policies and legislation in pursuit of women's empowerment, which lead to improvements in the lives of some women. Broadcast media have, during this month of August, been showcasing these great women who have, against all odds, taken advantage of available opportunities that accrue as a result of these policies. However, The reality is that most women are battling with multiple challenges. These are the women that one met on an oversight visit and the campaign trail, across all ages, from women who receive child support grants for their children to women who live with children with disabilities, even women who received old age grants to provide for entire families. These, House Chair, are the women who are in the majority in this country. On Tuesday, 21 June 2016, I went to Embangeni, Northern KwaZulu-Natal, on an oversight visit to the offices of the Department of Social Development, as well as the local SASA office. The main reason for the visit was to assess the operations of both offices following the closure of the DSD offices in Embangeni in March this year due to an alleged multi-million rand fraud related to foster grants. Woman after woman told me that they were having to travel as far as 25 to 30 kilometers to sort out their issues, only to be turned away and told that there is nothing that can be done for them. These women are, in many cases, borrowing money from neighbors to make the trip on the promise that once they receive their grants, they can reimburse their loans. One woman, for example, who has a child living with a disability, said her whole family lives on the child's grant. She said the grant had been stopped. She had spent hours with her child in tow trying to establish why this grant had been stopped. Another woman, who is half blind and can hardly see, has been visiting these offices to apply for a grant only to keep being told there's nothing wrong with her. These anecdotes, Madam House Chair, represent experiences of many women who have to ensure that families are fed or they live without. My overriding impression of this situation was that the social services scenario in that whole area is dire. But Embangeni is just a microcosm of a much bigger landscape of struggle for women in this country. It was for this reason that we took to the streets after a number of failed attempts to convince the Department of Social Development to increase the grants, to ask South Africa to sign a petition for social grant increases. Thousands upon thousands of South Africans signed and continue to sign the petition. We will be submitting it to the department as soon as another way of saying South Africans have spoken. We hope this time around, sincerely, that the minister will be available to receive the petition, as she has not been available to account to Parliament and was absent this week during the oral question session. But to all those women out there, young and old, who work tirelessly to change the status of women for the better, we are saying, with the Democratic Alliance, together we can make a difference in the lives of our most vulnerable, the women. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Morutwa.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of Parliament and South African citizens, esteemed guests, omama abapha abahleli phezulu. The topic for my debate is women and men side by side working towards a country free in intolerance and gender-based violence, upholding human security and development as principles of our revolution and transition. Let me start by paying my sincere condolences to the families of the SANDF members who passed on due to a bus crash some few days ago. Honorable members, Also, I cannot forget the women who passed on due to the politically motivated killings that have resulted in a large number of women losing their lives over the local government elections. After more than 20 years of democracy, the strides taken towards peace and stability in the country, and in particular the protection of women, it is even more unfortunate that a great number of lives lost were through violent means. These regressive acts are a reminder that women and children are more vulnerable to crime. Despite these setbacks, South Africa is a better place in which to live than it was in 1994. Political and social rights are protected, and the lives of millions of South Africans have improved through new laws, better public services, expansion of economic opportunities, and improved living conditions. As a country, we have ratified and are signatories to various international and regional protocols targeted at preventing and combating gender-based violence, as well as protection of victims. We have ratified instruments like CEDAW. Article 2 of the CEDAW obliges the member states to take steps to eliminate all forms of discrimination practices against women. Honorable members, South African society, we have also enacted our own domestic legislations like the Domestic Violence Act, the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act, which is in brief called PEPUDA, which is about to be amended by the Department of Justice, as well as promulgation of the sections which were not yet promulgated. The Protection for Harassment Act, Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act, Civil Union Act recognizing same-sex marriages. As a caring government, we understand that gender-based violence in part requires cohesive and coordinated efforts by government and various strats in society to work together year-long in eliminating violence against women and children. Gender-based violence is everybody's business, and it requires women and men to stand side by side to fight against patriarchal attitudes and masculine activities perpetuating violence against women. The involvement and engagement of men and boys as partners and allies in the fight against gender inequality creates a sense of empathy as men are able to address those harmful masculine activities that perpetuate gender-based violence. The United Nations also initiated the Unite to End Violence campaign and the He for She campaign as mechanisms to mobilize men to be part of the solution. In line with the UN initiative, South Africa extended the 16 days campaign to a year campaign, the hashtag 365 days campaign, and the Count Me In, to address and raise awareness on violence against women. The campaigns include mobilizing men through working in partnership with faith-based organizations, SANAC men's sector, men's organizations, and civil society organizations to be counted in the fight to end violence against women. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, the right to equality is one of the fundamental rights bestowed by our Constitution. As such, the establishment of the Commission on Gender Equality is one of our initiatives as the country to advance gender equality in all spheres of our society. Honorable Chairperson, in responding to gender-based violence, the government has introduced the following programs: the 16 days activism campaign and the 365-day National Action Plan, the Department of Social Development has launched an integrated plan of action on addressing violence against women and children of 2013-2018. The Commission on Gender Equality, our Chapter 9 institution on gender equality, establishment of dedicated sexual offences courts, maintenance courts, family violence, child protection and sexual offences investigation units in victim-friendly police stations, one-stop service centres of abuse accommodating and rendering psychosocial services to women and their dependent children who are victims of abuse. Tutuzela Care Centers, 24-hour one-stop center assisting victims of rape by offering a victim-friendly environment that helps eliminate secondary victimization. Court preparation program to prepare state witnesses for court in all matters. Trained social workers. In conclusion, our history of South Africa liberation struggle shows a record of women and men who stood shoulder to shoulder in fighting for the freedom enjoyed in the present day. Women like Winnie Mandela, Ruth First, Dora Tamara, Linian Ngoyi, and others, abanjengo Mama Unzanga, ongazange akwazi nokungcwaba umyeni wakhe kuba wayebanjiwe. No mama base Eastern Cape ababevalele kwaNongqondo. Ukuba uyayazi itorongo kaNongqondo babelengiswa phezulu kwelwandle eMonti, who stood side by side with men during the defiance campaigns, including during the infamous treason trial. The unitary movement and formidable partnerships forged and displayed by those women and men is recognized as a successful formal fighting various social ills like gender-based violence.
Your time has expired.
I stood up, Chair. I'm here. You didn't recognize me.
Honorable Morutwa, yeah, I'm recognizing you now.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. I wanted to ask if the member would take a question.
The time has expired, unfortunately. Thanks.
Malibongwe.
Councillor Komba.
Honorable House Chair, honorable members, distinguished guests, and omama abahleli phaphezulu notata abalapha endlini molweni. The South African Local Government Association is very honored and delighted to participate in this joint session and sitting debate on National Women's Day under the theme Women United in Moving South Africa Forward. The timing of this debate is of particular significance as we have just witnessed the fourth round of democratic local government elections on the 3rd of August. Women's Day, as celebrated on the 9th of August, is an important day to commemorate, not only to remember and appreciate the effort and struggle of the women who fought hard for the freedom and equality that we enjoy today, but also to celebrate the women of the present and all of their hard work to ensure a better tomorrow for future generations. Substantial progress has been made in the last 20 years of our democracy towards furthering gender equity and representation. However, the structures of government do not yet adequately reflect the number of women in society. Many challenges still remain that limit the realization of an enabling environment that promotes full and effective participation of women in decision and policy-making structures. For example, in the Eastern Cape, the recent election has given us an indication that returning councillors are 636 and non-returning are 1,017. Out of that, most women are not returning. As we commemorate Women's Day and Women's Month, it gives us the chance again to condemn the continued triple challenges of inequality, poverty, and unemployment affecting women, and the continued inability of so many women to access the benefits and opportunities arising from their economies and the development process in our country. Sustainable development goals require countries to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Agenda 2063, on the other hand, aspires to development that is people-driven, relying on the potential of women and youth and caring for children. So how can local government contribute to the achievement of those targets? Municipalities are on the front line of identifying and tackling violence and harmful practices against women. Urban planning, particularly the creation and maintenance of public spaces and local policing, are both essential tools in tackling these issues. Getting more women into elected office at local level is a top priority in terms of empowering women, both as a goal in its own right and because local politics is often the first step to regional and national office and promote the implement gender-responsive budgeting. SALGA has endorsed the establishment of the Women's Commission to support national development goal of women's empowerment and gender equality at a local government level. The SALGA Women's Commission is a mechanism to institutionalize advocacy processes as the voice of women in local government and ensure progress at a local level in response to the national and international development goals of women empowerment and gender equality. The SWC, as we call it, has been spearheading the 50-50 campaign in an effort towards achieving equal representation and participation of men and women, especially in decision-making processes at the local level. In addition, SALGA and its member municipalities have set up and continue to establish gender structures, in particular the women's caucuses and special programs units, to drive gender mainstreaming and women empowerment in local government. When comparing our country's performance in the region, South Africa is now third in the region in terms of local government with regard to women, after Lesotho and Namibia. That is derived from the Gender Links report. The lesson from Lesotho, which has 49% women in local government, is pertinent. Lesotho is the only country in the region to come close to gender parity in any area of decision-making because of a legislated quota. Legislation mandating 50-50 gender representation in all decision-making positions is long overdue in South Africa. Not only is such legislation necessary, but that it is mandated by South Africa's own equality legislation and numerous international obligations. The 50% legislated quota system is too important to leave to the will of political parties if we do not want to still be crying foul by 2030.
Councillor Ngomba,
Yes,
the time has expired.
Thank you so much.
Honorable Mbinda.
It is with great honor that I stand before you on behalf of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania when we are celebrating, honoring and remembering Abo Mama. Honorable Chair.
Honorable Mbinda, can you take your seat? Let me address the point of order. Honorable Member.
I would like to know if the member is willing to take a question on where is the woman in his party.
No. You know, I must first ascertain whether it's ready to take the question. Honorable Mbinda, are you ready to take the question?
I've changed today. I am a woman today. I think the Constitution allows that. Honorable Chair, history will continue to teach us of the great role played by women in the development of the world from all over the world. Under the extreme levels of exploitation and marginalization by their male counterparts, history continues to tell us great stories like the story of Pulin Devi, an Indian woman who spends most of her childhood characterized by rape and abuse by state security forces during the Casta era. She later began organizing fellow countrymen and women who are prepared to fight and confront the regime. And in 1981, they caught into a confrontation with the regime, and that left more than 20 people dead. She was arrested and released after 11 years when the charges got dropped, and she was elected into parliament in 1994 and was later assassinated in 2001 at the age of 37. She remains an inspiration of Indian women and women across the globe. Another case in point is Celia Sanchez. This is one of the key role players in the Cuban Revolution. And as PAC, we continue to wonder why is there little said about her and her contribution. Celia Sanchez joined the struggle against Batista government shortly after the coup in March 1952. She was one of the first women to assemble a combat squad and thus quickly become one of the key decision makers in driving the revolution. Celia was also a founder member of the 26th July movement that eventually overthrew Batista alongside Fidel Noche. She remains part of the key scientific evidence against chauvinistic and sexist prescripts. We have other great women like Comrade Veronica Sobukwe, Umama Unomvo Boy, Unomthandazo Mayose, who gave birth in prison. As a nation, we must do more than we are doing if we are to resolve these challenges. A lot more than Women's Day parties and social celebration that have become a norm or a one-day holiday that is generally misused by our people. Women must rise and claim their space in society and stop negotiating their way through while settling for less in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Lilunga lesihloniphekile lalendlu umhlonishwa Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Angicale ngokubingelela bomake labazivakashele namhla la endlini across the board. Ikakhulukazi ngithanda kubingelela bomake laba minister lasitshelile ukuthi bebekhona ku March ngo1956. Siyabonga kakhulu bomake. Singilokhu lesingekho namuhla ngenxa yenu. I particularly standing here because of you. We are really grateful for what you have done for us. Honorable Chairperson, I just want to start by asking ourselves, a lot has been said about our achievements of Mama as well as our challenges. My speech will be more dedicated to us as women. I just want to ask ourselves, until when were we going to stand in different corners shouting at each other about women issues? Women issues are beyond party politics. They are affecting all of us. Whether you are in this party or that party, they are affecting all of us. In fact, those who are perpetrators of women and who are promoting women exploitation are celebrating because they can see that we are not united as women. When are we going to stop doing that? Honorable Chair, I want to start my speech by dedicating my debate to women from the South African National Defence Force who was involved in an accident in Free State and died. I want to send our condolences to their families and also wish those who are fighting for their lives a speedy recovery. This also goes to women who died in the course of their duty, fighting for better lives of their families. We want to say we salute them all. The slogan that says, Watinta Bafazi, watinta imbokodo. Normally, it is not in the nature of women to speak these words, nor was it out of creativity for them to come up with such a slogan, especially at the time, 1956. It could take time. If you could take time and internalize it, you would agree with me that it was a do or die for women. In fact, it was like swimming against the current. Women to speak out louder and to get their voices to be heard. It was a big risk at the time. By the way, this message was not only to the apartheid lords at the time, represented or led by Stridom at the time. It was to all those who believed in women exploitation, that women should be treated like objects. The Women's March in 1956 confirmed the word of Elizabeth I when she rallied her troops to war. She said, I quote, "I have a body of a weak, feeble woman, but I have a heart and stomach of a king." As we speak today, we have women who are running companies, who are running countries, who own farms, holding key positions in public and private sector, holding positions in legislatures at all levels. We want to thank the ANC-led government for its policies to make sure or make it possible that women are where they are today because of those policies. Siyabonga kunhlangano yakaKhongolose. But these achievements do not mean that we are there. Awasho ukuthi sesifikile bomama. No, there is still a lot that needs to be done. In fact, there are new tendencies. Those who are not able to handle strong women, they label them as arrogant. Instead of appreciating a strong woman, you are labeled to be arrogant. These are new tendencies that are coming up. What does that mean to women? It means that we have to change our strategies as women to deal with women issues. Coming home here in Parliament, what are we doing as women, as parliamentarians? In fact, all of us, as we were talking about what we do about women's issues, when we do our oversight, do we look at issues affecting women in all departments? With all the achievements which we dearly appreciate, we still have women who give birth to children who would not be supported by some of the women who are making, or some of the men who are making noise as I speak now. By the way, there are fathers who are not supporting their children. Women are left with responsibilities to raise children without their fathers. And women are still washing clothes for men, they're still cooking meals, they're still planting crops, but women and men, while men are watching TV and reading newspapers, women are also highly affected by diseases which could have been prevented if they had support. Women are still raped and killed. They watch their children succumbing to drugs and diseases. Girls are still forced to prostitution due to poverty.
On a point of order.
Honorable Dlamini, can you take your seat? Honorable member.
Chairperson, I just want to check, is that the best sweeper in the ANC caucus today?
No, that is not a point of order. Can you continue, Honorable Dlamini?
These are the things that could unite us as women above party politics, because struggling for women
Order, members.
are still on. we should not be disillusioned and aloof. For the purpose of my debate, I will say DA so that because of time factor. To women strugglers. Instead, we need to be effective and fast forward, EFF. It then becomes a challenge when EFF joins, I'm talking about my terms here, when EFF joins or support DA, because it means we are reversing the gains of democracy.
You forgot when we vote, when you vote with...
Honorable Chairperson, here in Parliament, we have multi-party women's
You
caucus.
voted with National Party.
Honorable Dlamini, will be a second. Honorable Zulu, why is
Will the honorable member take a question?
Honorable Dlamini, are you ready to take a question?
Let me finish my speech. If I have time, I will.
Honorable Dlamini, what are you saying?
I'm saying if I finish,
Talk to your mic.
I'm saying if I finish my speech and I have time, I will respond.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Dlamini, can you take your seat? Honorable Ma'am.
Chair, are you recognizing me?
Yes, I'm recognizing
No,
you.
I just want to caution this member. She must not just grandstand here and distort facts
No, Honorable
about
Chair.
EFF.
Honorable Chair,
Secondly,
point of order.
I think she is very good
Honorable
in
Member.
dabbing
Order,
because
a
that's what
point
they are
of
good
order,
at.
Chair.
So they must stop just speaking
Point of
nothing.
order.
They must just continue dabbing. That's why they
Honorable
lost
Member.
elections, because they were dabbing all the way. So please stop distorting EFF. You are not a member of EFF. If you want to know what is the standpoint of EFF, you must come to us. Please continue with your
Honorable
dabbing style.
Honorable
Then
Maxine.
you'll lose even elections in 2019, ma'am.
Honorable Member,
Yeah.
you know that that is not a point of order. You can't stand and debate with the person who's on the podium debating. Can you continue, Honorable Dlamini?
On a point of order, Chair. I'm here. Thank
Yes.
you. Ke a leboga. On a point of order.
I'm recognizing you.
A re gakolle ANC gore they voted.
Honorable Chair, this is not
with National
correct.
But that is not a point of
On
order.
a point
I've
of
already-
order.
They voted with National Party. They made a National Party president, deputy president of this house. They must not forget that they took Martinus van Schalkwyk and make him the minister in this
Honorable
house.
Chair, what is
they
this?
must not forget that. They must not forget
Honorable
that
Chair.
EFF does not have any agreement
Honorable
with
Member.
any
This is not
political
right,
party.
Honorable Chair.
We vote for.
It's not right.
We didn't have any coalition. ANC must.
Honorable Mokwele. Honorable Mokwele. Can you take your seat? You know what you are raising is not a point of order. You can't stand up and debate with the speaker on the podium. Can you continue, Honorable Dlamini?
On a point of order. Point of order. Recognize me.
Can't happen.
Recognize me.
Why are you rising?
I'm raising a point of order.
Can you raise your point of order?
Yes, Chair.
No, Honorable Chair, I stood up before that member.
Yes, Chair.
Honorable Chair.
Chairperson, I think you are also unfair. I thought you are
Chairperson.
better than other chairpersons here because you are from NSOP, but it looked like you like them. I raise a point of order here. You never bothered even to remind your member to stop this .EFF. And then the second point of order is that if NC members, they are not privy to the information here in the Western Cape, you have formed a coalition with the
Honorable
DA
Member,
in Hanan.
already I've made a ruling. That is not a point of order. Honorable Zulu.
On a point of order, Chair.
No. Oh. Honorable Chair, I thought there was only one Honorable Zulu in this house.
Yes, I'm recognizing you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chair, we have consistently been raising this issue of members who disrespect the rules of the House and the honorable members stand up and they do not even wait for them to be recognized, and they make political statements. Honorable Chair, I wish that you would take this to the committee, because there is a difference between exchanging with each other and standing up and making political statements when they have not even been given the floor to do so. You have to make a ruling on that.
On a point of order, Chair, I'm very proud of it. On a point of order.
Honorable members, Honorable Mokwele, you are not recognized.
Can you recognize me?
You can't
Please
have a point of order on top
But
of
you
a
need
point
to
of order.
recognize
Can you take
me.
your seat?
But you need to recognize me before
Yeah,
I
take your seat.
Are you recognizing me?
Take your seat.
Are you recognizing me?
Take
You
your
must
seat.
recognize me.
Honorable members, Honorable members, I'm appealing to all of you. Refrain from raising frivolous point of order, and refrain from abusing point of order and debating. Can you conclude, Honorable Dlamini?
Point of order, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's English.
Point of order, Chair.
I just want to fit this. Honorable Chair.
Honorable Dlamini, sorry. Honorable member.
Angithokoze sihlalo. Angithokoze sihlalo ngiphakama lapha ukuthi ilungu elihloniphekileyo linga generalize mangabe lithi abantu besilisa banendlela yokuyiphatha efanayo. Akubona bonke abantu besilisa abahlalayo belinda ukuphekelwa. Akubona bonke abantu besilisa abahlalayo belinde ukuwashelwa bebuka amaphepha nama TV. Lokho kugcina kwakha inzondo phakathi kwesifazana nesilisa ngokungadingekile. Nje kuhle member ikhoxiswe ukuthi abantu besilisa bayahlala benzele yonke into. Siyazenzela kweminye imizi. Ngiyathokoza.
Can you conclude, Honorable Dlamini?
No, Honorable Chair,
On a point of order, Chair.
I had my hand up,
On
Chair.
a point of order, before her.
Honorable
was
Dlamini,
me.
can you conclude? Honorable members.
On a point of order, Chair. On a point of order.
Honorable
On a point
members,
of order.
can you take your seat? Can you take your seat, all of you? Can all of you take your seat? Honorable members, we can't all be presiding, and I don't need an assistance. Honorable Dlamini, can you conclude? I'm not recognizing any point of order.
But you recognize me.
Thank you very much.
Which rule are you?
Honorable
Chair.
Chair. I want to conclude my speech by borrowing from the words of Umage Margaret Thatcher when she said, any woman who understands the problems of running a home will be nearer to understanding the problems of running a country. Honorable Chairperson, I want to conclude by saying to members, ngiyafuna kwathi ukuthi abo president babo be Women's League ngobani solo bakhuluma ngo president we ANC Women's League ubathabile all the time.
Don't worry.
What are they doing? We would love to see and compare if they are representing us well as women. At least she's doing something. The ANC is doing
I'm calling
something.
a point of
Where
order.
are your president of your Women's League
On a
to
point
take
of order.
issues of women forward? And you are busy talking about
On a point of order.
with ANC. Stop looking at the ANC. Look at your own organization
calling a
and what
point
your
of order.
organization is doing instead of focusing on the ANC. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank
Chair.
you. Honorable Bele.
Chair. On a point.
Honorable Kaul.
Ngiyabonga lapho ngaphambili
ojwayela impela ukuthi usihloniphe njoba sikhona la inyanga yethu lena kube yiphutha kwalokho nje uziyobekwa lapho ngaphambili ukusidelela ngamanye amazwi bekufanele kufanga kubeka umuntu wesifazane lapha yana uyabona ubona athi kuyaxatshanwa la phambili ingenxa yokuthi awuzange wasihlonipha thina sabantu besifazane ake kuqale la eParliament ukuhloniphana kusukela namanje kufuna ngiyanitshela next year ake kuba abantu besifazane sibabona behlezi lapha hayi abantu besilisa ngoba lona ithi thina niyasiqoqobala la niyasirepa nenza yonke into iphinde nizosihlalela nangeinsuku zethu no ngaphinde ngicela uxoliso ngokwami ufuna usuke la
Honorable Kaula, that was not a point of order. And women issues are not only meant for only women. Honorable Mpele.
On a point of order, Chair.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo.
Chair.
There is a saying that goes, the numbers don't lie. Not only that, but numbers also speak volumes. And Exhibit A is the empty seat to my right on this side of the House. But Chairperson, to give the benefit of the doubt, the ANC is starting to prepare and acclimatize themselves to no longer occupying the governing party seats, as will be the case after 2019. Now, turning to Minister Shabangu, you neglected to mention in your list of women leaders and activists another who was, in your words, an embodiment of the relentless march for democracy and human rights, namely in the person of the indomitable Helen Suzman. And Minister, you were complaining about the 10 women delegation of the Western Cape. Let me ask you this. How would sending more women to a commemorative ceremony have advanced women's emancipation? We as the DA actually understand what it takes to achieve that. The key to the systemic empowerment and structural emancipation of women is quality education and healthcare, safe communities with effective policing and efficient criminal justice system, enough social workers, economic opportunities to build livelihoods, and self-reliance for all women, as alluded to by my colleagues. Now, on all these scores, the ANC government is failing dismally. We have a shoddy public education system, shoddy public health care, and a police service. Our economy is stagnant, and growth is virtually at a standstill. The DA in government is the true vehicle of women's empowerment and emancipation through cutting corruption, creating jobs, and delivering better services. Niatanda anitandi, that is the truth. In fact, Minister, if you would like to be somewhat useful in your portfolio, maybe you can find out why the Justice Department stopped cooperating with the Western Cape government in our successful campaign to track down child maintenance defaulters. That was a real, meaningful, and substantive intervention to address an acute challenge faced by vulnerable women. But given that the ANC is practically allergic to effectiveness and excellence, but committed to impeding DA government success, the campaign had the plug pulled on it by your ANC government. And, I must say, with respect to women's issues, the ANC is simply a walking contradiction. I start with the Honorable Gomba, who was here on the podium earlier, who is reported to have attacked a fellow woman councillor with a hammer at an ANC Women's League conference. Talk about violence against women, layer upon layer of irony. Let me not even start unpacking Marius Fransman. That just speaks for itself. And then we have the Honorable Dlamini, who was up here before me, who is also reported to have gone on a R250,000 jaunt for a Disneyland trip with her family and the bodyguard at taxpayer and ratepayer expense as the former mayor of Bombela. That is taking money out of the poor who need services and undermining women's empowerment and emancipation. No wonder, Chairperson, the ANC has become and is becoming a Mickey Mouse party. But to her credit, maybe the honourable member got confused. Maybe she thought I'm Honourable Dlamini. She thought of the celebrity Minnie Dlamini, and she was like, Minnie and Mickey Mouse. Oh, I belong in Disneyland. Chairperson, I would simply like to conclude with something that will end this debate once and for all. Which party brought us the first female whip in Parliament? The DA. Which party brought us the first female leader of the opposition in Parliament? The DA. Which party brought us not just one, but two female leaders of the opposition in Parliament? The DA. And which party brought us the best mayor in the world, voted for in a public poll, who was also a woman? The DA. Chairperson, I rest my case.
Thank you. Honorable Pengu.
House Chair.
Thank you.
Chairperson. Chairperson. Hello.
Honorable Pengu.
Hello.
Thank
Order,
you.
members.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you.
Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you.
I think you've switched the mics off. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable.
I'm here.
Yeah. Let me take Honorable Orzaizen.
It's Stian Hazen. House Chair, I'd like to address you in terms of Rule 14S of the Joint Rules, if I may. House Chairperson, we have a rule and policy in this Parliament about the admittance of strangers, and the admittance of strangers onto the floor of Parliament is something that's frowned upon. And so I'm asking your guidance, House Chair, if you could ensure that every single member of this House is actually a sworn-in member of Parliament. I note that the Honourable Mabe is back in the House. She used to be the next mayor of Makhale City, so she was a councillor a few days ago and is now back as a member of Parliament. Can you ensure that she's been properly sworn in as a member of Parliament and has taken her seat here on this floor? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Pengu.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Okay, sorry, Honorable Pengu.
Chairperson, we have been having our hands up for a while now, and those staff members there in front have seen us that we have had our hands up and they have ignored us. We will report you. We are sent here by members of the public to come and represent them, and we will speak in this Parliament, and we will be here until 2019. So whether you like it or not, or you don't want us to speak, we will speak, and you will hear me out.
What is the point of order?
So you will not come and switch off our mics here all the time.
What is the point of order?
And those staff members must know we are sent here by members of the public to represent them. They mustn't come and play.
Honorable Pengu.
Thank you, Chairperson. On a point of order, Chair.
Oh. Sorry, Honorable Pengu. Honorable Mokweli.
On a point of order.
Yes, what is the point of order?
I just want to remind ANC that last week they voted with Freedom Front in Rustenburg local municipality. So they must not come here and claim.
On a point of order, Honorable House Chair.
Honorable members. No, can you take your seat? Honorable members. I'm making this last ruling that I won't be taking this frivolous point of order. That is not a point of order. You even know very well. Honorable Pengu.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson, honorable members, members in the gallery. I greet you all. As we celebrate the Women's Day today, firstly, I would like to convey my heartfelt condolences to all the women who have lost their lives through violence and abuse, not forgetting to mention the women in defense who have lost their lives in a tragic road accident that happened in Bloemfontein, as well as to the family and friends of Comrade and Councillor Nonhlanhla Lady Mthembu, who is popularly known as Stompy the Black Diamond, who collapsed and died while there was a council meeting in Johannesburg. She was a dedicated that she came to the council to cast her vote, although she was sick because of the love of the African National Congress. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Honorable Chairperson, it will be correct to remind the people of South Africa that nowhere in the history of women of South Africa we heard that the DA is advocating the rights and the representation of women. The only thing that they do is to tell us what the ANC Women's League do, of which is very good because they prove that the ANC is the only party that recognizes the women of South Africa and fight for their fundamental rights. Let alone the EFF. Angeke ngize ngichithe nesikhathi ngalabo ngoba awukho nowodwa umlando ngabo. Ngoba ngisho abaholi be-EFF,
on a point of
some
order.
of them are here as members
On a
of
point of
parliament.
order, Chair.
They even failed to pay
Honorable
maintenance
Bengu.
On a
of their
point of order.
children.
Honorable Makwele, what
She
is the
must
point of
just
order?
leave us alone. We have a mandate
Honorable
to achieve here.
Honorable,
She
Honorable
must just
Makwele.
leave us alone.
Honorable Makwele, you
Don't
know
say
that is not a
anything
point of
about us.
order. Can you
We've
continue,
got
Honorable
our own
Bengu?
plan. Leave our own plan to unfold.
Yes, Chairperson, Chair. And let alone the EFF, awukho nowodwa umlando esiwaziyo ngabo, because abaholi babo, they are the ones that are all, not even failed to pay the maintenance of their own children. Is this not the abuse of women and children? This is a disgrace by the EFF leaders.
On a point of order, Chair.
Honorable Bengu,
On a point of order.
Honorable Makwele.
On a point of order, Chair.
what is the point of order?
Honorable member must not come here and mislead the House. As EFF members, fathers and mothers, we are responsible. We have one.
Honorable Makwele.
We have one wives. We have one husband. We don't have concubines in EFF. We are responsible, unlike you.
Honorable Makwele.
Unlike you, we are responsible mothers and fathers.
You can't stand up and debate with the member. That is not a point of order.
On a point of order, Chair.
Honorable member.
House Chair.
Yeah, you'll fall. Honorable member.
Yes, Honorable House
I'm
Chair.
recognizing you. Yeah, we are recognized.
Okay, thank you, House Chair. Yeah, House Chair, in terms of the rules of this House,
Yes.
if a member is irrelevant, is the presiding officer who must stop that member. The honorable member here continue to be irrelevant and you allow her to speak. You must stop her. It's your duty. Please.
Thank you, honorable member. But that was not a point of order. Honorable
Yes.
Dawood.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I think for us to finish the debate, we must switch off our mics, all of us. Just do that to allow the debate to flow, because members have been insulting each other in this House. So this is a point of debate. Allow that member to finish her speech. Thank you.
Honorable Pengu, can you continue with your debate?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Makause ukhuluma ngo 2019, whereas they failed to even get one municipality. So how are you going to practice what you preach?
Honorable Pengu, what is the point of order?
Chairperson, there was previous rulings this afternoon that the gallery mustn't participate in this debate. And it seems that these people are not taking your ruling serious. So can you please control the House, control the gallery. Let people, when are inviting people to the gallery, inform them previously about the rules. Not that thing that the deputy chief whip are doing here to want to grandstand. She will never be a chief whip of this House. I will even be a chief whip before you.
Thank you. Honorable guest, as the earlier ruling was made, refrain from participating in what is going on here. Can you continue, Honorable Pengu?
Yes, thank you, Chair. To Honorable Mankause, you Ukulumango 2019, whereas the EFF has failed even to get one municipality in the whole country of South Africa. So how
On a
are you
point of
going to
order,
practice
Chair.
what you preach?
On
Is
a
this
point
the
of order,
government
Chair.
in waiting that you always tell us? Shame on you.
Order.
To Honorable
Order, Chair.
Mokwele.
Yes, for the record. For the
No, I'll
record.
recognize you. Let's hope it's a point of order. Honorable Mokwele.
For the record, EFF.
Yes.
EFF
Yes.
has grown from 6% to 8%.
That is not a point of
We
order.
didn't reduce anything.
Honorable Mshong.
So watch us, watch the space.
thank you very
Watch
much,
the
Chairperson.
space, we are coming.
Thank you. Chairperson, no, it can go.
Watch the space,
Chairperson,
we are
thank
coming.
you very much. No, Chairperson, I'm pleading with you in my humble form, Chairperson, and also pleading with the women of our country. And I am convinced that the public of the people of our country, particularly women, who are on the receiving end of atrocities that are taking place in their slums, in their habitats, they look forward to this parliament to pronounce effectively, honestly, and passionately about what affects them. But the manner the women appear to be conducting
Honorable
themselves
Mshongo.
here is not actually then living
Honorable
up to the
Mshongo.
standards expected of women.
Honorable
I must
Mshongo.
say I'm registering my concern as a member of this House, Chairperson.
Honorable Mshongo, that is not a point of order. Let us not debate. Let's allow Honorable Pengo to continue. Can you continue, Honorable Pengo?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. To Honorable Van der Merwe, you have got to come and complain about the empty seats, whereas you don't even constitute the 50% in the IFP benches. And there are many seats in your opposition benches, but you only see them in the ANC side. Honorable Chairperson, I would like to congratulate our golden girl, Caster Semenya, for making us proud as this country in Rio 2016 Olympics. That you have done it, girl, you will do it again in future. Also to thank all the women who came out in numbers to vote, and particularly those women who have voted the African National Congress in the local government elections. This has proven that the ANC leads, the ANC lives. Malbongwe. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, the economic empowerment of women and their participation in economy is fundamental to any revolutionary change in society. Women as motive force to change in the economy brings to this change the experience of all that needs to be changed, both in terms of ownership relations and production relations. Gender equality in terms of economic transformation calls for an inclusive macroeconomic framework that should have at its basis the recognition of the centrality of women's role to national wealth, social stability, and reproduction. Critical is women's labor market participation and performance in markets and non-market institutions in production, household reproduction, and community management. The key issues for women in the ANC radical economic transformation agenda can be summarized as follows. Women access to and achievement in education and skills development, women access to jobs, employment, gender equity, equal pay for equal work of equal value, women's access to credit, land and property, burden of poverty and equality on women, women contribution to total production through unpaid care work. Looking at these issues, one must say the following. Firstly, women access to and achievement in education and skills development is an area in which we are proud of the gender parity figures, albeit is that the decline in women's numbers at postgraduate and academic staff levels must be addressed. The inclusion of girls and women in science and technology, engineering and management fields require further transformation as a critical aspect to any economy. Secondly, women's access to jobs, gender equity in employment, and equal pay for equal work of equal value are critical to address poverty and inequality and to ensure financial independence of women. Whilst the implementation of the ANC and government's 9-point economic plan continues to address and improve the strength of the economy and increase, it is that point where women can play for far greater role that must be addressed. This means that in the environment in which the private sector should be creating more jobs, economic ministers in the economic transformation cluster must ensure that at the environment conducive to women playing a leading role in the private sector be driven. This must involve placing women at the center of these plans to ensure the appropriate resourcing, the empowerment of women in the economy. Thirdly, in relation to relieving the burden of poverty and inequality on women, a significant contribution to this relief is the extension of basic services such as water, sanitation, electricity, safe transport, and other services. These basic services fundamentally change the domestic work burden on women, enabling more time to be devoted to income generation or productive activity. Our social grant policy has impacted positively on poverty levels. Fourthly, on labor markets and employment matters, productive employment provides access to resources via wages. Inequalities within the labor market have far-reaching consequences in other areas. Therefore, an environment that enables women to effectively engage in the labor market is essential to address some of the economic inequalities that exist. Women's employment is concentrated in a smaller number of sectors, with 84% of female employment in the service sector. In this regard, local economic development is critical to women in unlocking the potential of SMMEs, cooperatives, the rural and township economies. ANC policy in this regard has created a conducive environment for both women economically progress. Fifthly, access to land, to credit and property relate to women's ability to engage in the economy and sustain livelihoods. With great struggle over the past 22 years, there has been a progressive promoting of access to credit for women and in relative terms equal access to credit in various borrowing contexts. Although barriers to business financing remain a major challenge due to a lack of collateral in terms of a public assets access, an area in which
Honorable Mokwele.
Thank you, Chair.
I've made a ruling about this point of orders. Can you allow Honorable Pengu to continue to speak?
But she's reading the...
Honorable Pengu,
So you are not allowing me to speak, Chair.
I have made a ruling about this.
But she's reading the speech that she read last year.
Honorable
That
Pengu.
speech, she read it last year, man.
Thank
the same thing.
Can you continue, Honorable Pengu?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. The provision of public services or assets is an area of particular success for government over the past 22 years and has brought enormous benefits to women. We should certainly welcome the high-level panel on the assessment of key legislations and the accelerating of fundamental change, which is currently conducting public hearings into what our people have to say about key legislations passed since 1994. What we already know is the fact that in application of the law, we are weakest. Parliament must pay attention to this if we are to have the meaningful economic transformation that policy speaks of. Land and property ownership amongst women needs critical further examination and proactive support so as to ensure specific measures for increasing land redistribution and access to women is prioritized. In order to increase women's access to land, state-owned land redistribution should prioritize women. In 2014, His Excellency the President, recognizing the centrality of economic empowerment to women's emancipation, announced that he will launch a report on the status of women in the economy. He then directed the department to be ready to produce a report to be launched in August the following year, which was 2015. This led to the launch by the President of the report on the status of women in South African economy, which was followed by his directive when he said that the government should put the inclusive of women at the center of all our plans. This is more so in the case of government's plans aimed at growing the economy and creating jobs. As a first step towards the implementation of this directive, the government's 9-point plan and the Operation Pakisa initiatives we have launched and those still to be launched should have an explicit gender dimension. He repeated the same injunction in his budget vote this year. This directive is a significant of socio-economic empowerment of women, and the focus of our department placing monitoring and evaluation central to the process. Therefore, we expect the economic cluster departments to submit the report as per the President's directive. Thereafter, on the 9th of August, the President launched this report, focusing on 5 critical areas, which is education, labor market, access to land, property and credit, changes in poverty and inequality, and contributing to the gross domestic product. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson, the implementation of the government 9-point plan to grow the economy and the Operation Pakisa initiative must have an explicit gender dimension. That means the factual information on women's status in the economy should be used by all stakeholders to identify the gaps and seek measures to close those gaps to improve the economic empowerment of women. Let us unite and move South Africa forward. I thank you.
Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to thank our guest and indicate that women rights issues will forever remain human rights issues. That concludes the debate and the business of the joint sitting.
Chair, I raised a point of order earlier and I asked you to rule on it. You haven't ruled on it yet.
Which point of order?
Asking you to establish that every member who's present in this House today is a properly sworn-in member of Parliament.
But I'm not going to be able to do it now.
Could you commit to asking the table to establish?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the debate and the business of the joint sitting. The joint sitting will now rise.
Point of order.